Fargo Season 5 delivers its biggest plot developments to date in Episode 5, thanks to Dot's bombshell confession to Deputy Olmsted and yet another kidnapping. Following on from last week's house fire, Dot's ruthless mother-in-law Lorraine has her committed. From there, it only gets wilder and darker. This episode is one of the most twist-filled and mind-blowing installments in the season so far. From Dot's struggle to escape from the psychiatric hospital, to Gator's new assignment from his cold-blooded dad, Episode 5 called The Tiger is Full of Surprises. Here's a breakdown of this episode. Dot is taken to a psychiatric hospital. At the beginning of Episode 5, Dot is staying in Lorraine's guest bedroom. Before Dot even wakes up, Lorraine's lawyer Danish Graves enters the room with a couple of orderlies from a psychiatric hospital to have her committed. The whole thing was arranged by Lorraine, who's desperate to get rid of Dot, and doesn't care what she has to do to achieve that goal. According to the orderlies, based on what they've been told, they believe that Dot is a danger to herself and those around her. As she's taken away by the orderlies, Graves describes the psychiatric hospital as her new home away from home. Sheriff Tillman meets Lorraine. For the past few episodes, Lorraine has been digging around for dirt on Dot to use against her. But in Episode 5, that dirt comes to her front door. Sheriff Roy Tillman, possibly Scotty's biological father, pays Lorraine a visit at home and informs her that her daughter-in-law Dot, whose real name is Nadine, is his wife. Tillman shows Lorraine a wedding photo and reveals that he married Dot on June 3, 2007. Despite this juicy opportunity to get Dot out of the picture, Lorraine is reluctant to give her up to Tillman for the sake of her son, who loves Dot, and her granddaughter, whom she's grown fond of. Dot meets agents Meyer and Joaquin. In last week's episode, agents Meyer and Joaquin figured out Dot's alias and found her new address in Minnesota. In Episode 5, they finally meet the elusive fugitive when they bump into her at the hospital. Since the agents' main priority is to take down Sheriff Tillman, they tell Dot they want to help her, but she's skeptical. She tells them she doesn't need their help, but they insinuate that they're not asking, they're telling. Dot is caught between a rock and a hard place as she talks to FBI agents at one end of a hallway, and the cops and orderlies searching for her are at the other end. Gator's crew tries to kidnap Wayne. After visiting Lorraine, Tillman tells his son Gator to resort to Plan B, take the husband. So Gator sends his crew into the hospital to kidnap Wayne. But since Dot happens to be in the hospital when Gator's crew arrives, she's able to preempt the kidnapping and races back up to Wayne's ward. Before Gator's crew makes it up to that floor, Dot swaps the Wayne Lyon name card on Wayne's door with the name card on the door of Jordan Seymour. When Gator's crew gets to the ward and checks the name cards on the doors, they abduct Jordan, not Wayne. Dot escapes from the hospital. Dot manages to escape from the psychiatric hospital almost immediately. She pins down the orderly while he's trying to restrain her and straps him to the bed instead. But it takes a while before Dot can leave the building. When she sneaks down to the lobby, Gator's crew enters the building, so she turns around and heads back upstairs. After running into the FBI agents, she asks them to let her use the restroom before leaving with them. But while she's in the restroom, she climbs out of the window and finally escapes from the hospital. There were a lot of close calls, but Dot gave them the slip. Dot finally tells Olmsted the truth. After taking Scotty from Lorraine's house, Dot heads to Olmsted's house, where she finally tells her the truth. She confesses that she married Tillman when she was 17, and all the recent craziness, the kidnapping, the house fire, the hospital stay, can all be traced back to that. Dot leaves Scotty to stay with the Olmsteds for a few nights, while she heads off to deal with the Tillman business. This is the biggest plot development in Fargo Season 5 so far. Dot is finally taking matters into her own hands, and she has at least one officer of the law on her side.